Welcome to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And yes, I do still feel like shit. It's okay though. We just keep showing up and it's going to get better. It's going to get better. I did go get my nails done. Look how pretty, huh? It's big apple red for the Christmas season. So I did go get my nails done yesterday. I did take a 3 hour nap yesterday. Other than that, I think I published the podcast, and that might have been about it. So it's that time, I guess it's a season. It's a season of my recovery where I have to just lean into um, self-care. But I did want to talk today about addressing my crazy, talking, like dealing with my crazy, because I have a lot of crazy. Um, and maybe that is not being kind to myself. It might come across that way, but it really does feel like crazy sometimes. So, I wanted to talk about some of the stinking thinking and what I heard this morning. I heard somebody say drinking thinking, and I'm like, yeah, that's what it is because what I learned when I joined the program, actually, it took a couple years for me to understand what this meant, but drinking is but a symptom. That's what I heard. And I'm like, no, drinking is the cause of all of my problems. At least that's why I thought I was getting sober. But really, the drinking was a symptom of what was going on between my ears, some of the crazy that was going on. When I also heard about uh, this suggestion that alcoholics are insane, that like I need to be returned to sanity, like all of that. I was offended. I was offended when I heard that in the beginning of sobriety because I was like, maybe you people are insane, but I am sane. I just have obsessive thinking. Well, you call it what you will. I've got it. It's catastrophic thinking, it's negative thinking, it's behavior related to that thinking. It's always feeling like I need to be right, never wanting to be wrong. It's feelings of hopelessness. It's making excuses instead of decisions in my life. All of that stuff. I call it my crazy. Um, so as I've been living the program for 8.5 years, I know you love that I am always like trying to count the months and the years that I'm doing all of these things, but there's some sense of accomplishment. Maybe that's why I always recognize how long I've been doing something. Um, I've got lots of different tools that have been shown to me. So when I entered into the program, I got a sponsor, and that sponsor told me, um, you know, here's a toolbox, and we're about to give you a bunch of tools to stick in this toolbox. And it started with admitting powerlessness. And that was a big one, even though it seemed like a pretty basic act. It was a huge act. Everything depended on that acknowledgement that life was unmanageable. It required me to acknowledge my crazy and make a commitment to addressing my crazy. And it's not like I was a stranger to going to therapists and counselors. I I've gone to a lot of them before I quit drinking. And whenever any of them would say, how much do you drink? That was it. I wasn't going to go back to them. And that carried on for years. It was always either my ex-husband's fault or, whatever has happened in my life. That's who I was going to blame. It was never going to be me. And I never took ownership of things that happened to me in my life. Well, I still have catastrophic thinking and negative thinking. Just because I took the drink away doesn't mean that I am happy all the time. I try to choose the path of happiness, but it's hard. It takes practice and it's progress, not perfection. So last night I was falling asleep and I was actually I wasn't falling asleep. I was laying in bed, catastrophic thinking. That's all I was doing. I was thinking about um yesterday I heard that there are drones that are above like the New Jersey area, New York area, and like the governor said they don't know what they're doing or something like that or what they're for. I don't know. And I was like, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. Like when citizens are reporting things that are happening before the government or people who we call in charge are telling us that is happening, there's a problem. But him and I were talking last night about there's probably quite often when the government knows things that are happening and they're not telling us. So I like to believe that. I like to believe that they know exactly what's going on and they just don't think we need to know. We're on a need to know basis and we don't need to know why these drones are flying around. I personally haven't looked into it. I only heard this in a news article because my husband and I he reads me the news headlines every night. So I just heard it in a headline, but I haven't heard the specifics about it. Anyway, when I was falling asleep, I was thinking about those and I'm like, thinking of all the possibilities of what they could be and what they were going to do to the population. And it was catastrophic what I was thinking about. And then I started thinking about there's a woman that I played softball with in high school. She was our pitcher. And I saw on Facebook last night that her husband passed away after having a massive heart attack. And oh, I just felt like, oh, my heart just ached for her. And I was thinking about, you know, we we have all these people that we grow up with um and we don't know who's going to be the one, who's going to be the one that has the stroke, who's going to be the one who loses their husband before they're even 50 years old, we don't know what's going to happen to us. And when I think about the past, I I feel depressed. I think about the negative things that happened in the past. When I think about the future, I get anxious because I'm thinking about all the negative things that could happen in the future. I don't have this automatic default to think about the positive. Um, So the way I heard about it was a couple. I heard of a somebody who went to the same high school as me said, like, attention all people who went to this high school, and he announced that she had lost her husband, and it just was so sad to me. But I started thinking about that. I started thinking about our whole lives that have happened since high school and how many negative things have happened to either me or people that I care about that I went to high school with, or people that I don't care about or I didn't care about. Like I care about all of them now because we have something in common. We came from the same place, and it's interesting how my vision of those people has evolved. Even just this year, having turned 50. Um, anyway, I was thinking about all of these things when I was going to bed, and I finally thought, hey, stop, you know, reach into your toolbox and grab one of these things that helps you when you're stuck in negative thinking. And so that's what I did. One of the incredible tools that I have, and I almost don't even know how to articulate what it is, but I've tried to mention it before. I remember, well, and then whether this is healthy or unhealthy, I think it's healthy. It works for me. Is I remember one of my last mornings when I got up and started drinking. It was the morning that I told you guys about where I was on my way to work, realized I can't do it. I can't go into work. And I stopped at the gas station on top of the mountain and I got some wine and I turned around and I came back down the mountain and I parked inside of a neighborhood and I started to drink. And I remember that first drink from that bottle of wine. Isn't that weird? I remember that first drink and I remember the feeling of what it did in my brain. It was like these happy chemicals just released. As soon as I took that drink, these happy chemicals released and it almost numbed my thinker. It wasn't because I had been drunk all of a sudden or buzzed all of a sudden. It was what that wine was doing to me chemically when I would drink it. It's that dopamine hit. And I got the dopamine hit before I had any sense of a buzz. It was literally the first drink, the first sip from that alcohol. And I remember that. And I remember how it felt for my brain to just kind of release. And so when I'm feeling like I'm catastrophic thinking or negative thinking or worrying or whatever, I go back to that moment where it felt like my brain just shut down and I can do it again. I can practice that exercise without a drink. Um, Whether that sounds bizarre or not, that's one of the tools in my toolbox. And so last night I thought I remembered. And the only reason I can remember is that I've practiced it so many times since that day that I had that drink and since I've gotten sober. That moment in time is something that I rely on because it helps me recognize that that feeling is possible. It is possible to shut down my thinking. And I need that sometimes. I need to be able to, when I'm in this cycle of catastrophic thinking and it's not solution based. I'm not trying to figure out now how can we get those now I can't think of what they're called, the hover things, drones. Um, how can we get those out of the sky? How can we get them to not be circling over New Jersey? I'm not doing that. I'm not having a solution based uh, thought process. It's a cycle of catastrophic thinking and it's going absolutely nowhere. I think I have a tool in my toolbox to turn it off. And that's what I do. I take a deep breath, I hold it for 4 seconds, and then with my exhale, I am releasing the catastrophic thinking and I'm leaving emptiness behind. That's what I'm picturing in my head. Um, so I have to be willing to change my thinking. Um, I have to be, instead of thinking of excuses to to keep ruminating on, um, I'm making a decision. I'm thinking about the solution for me, the solution for my well-being, not the solution for whatever catastrophic thing I'm thinking about, but the solution for my well-being. And that is, I'm going to make the decision to turn it off. And I truly believe, and maybe it's from years of practicing meditating, that I'm able to do it. Um, I think that that is what meditation is for, is to help us shut stuff down that is not serving us. So last night when I got my nails did, um, the lady who was doing my nails, she's pretty funny. So one year, I went in there and I was telling her how I do push-ups. And the reason why I'm hesitating is I forgot why I was going to talk about her. But we'll see where I end up. So she was doing my nails. Oh yeah. And we were talking about doing push-ups. And I told her I do 10 push-ups a day. And she was amazed by this. She was amazed by the fact that I do 10 push-ups a day. And I'm like, it's just a really easy, small way to build strength. And um, so, unbeknownst to me, she started doing it. And so, like, I don't know, months later, I came in and I had her again to do my nails. And she said, "Are you still doing push-ups?" And I was like, "What?" Like, she said, "You told me that you do push-ups." And I had forgotten that I told her that. She said that she started doing push-ups. And she said that she hadn't been able to do push-ups, like she can barely even do one. And I said, "Just keep trying." She said, "Well, I can't do 10." I said, "It's okay. Then do one. Just keep working on doing one." So when I went in there yesterday, she asked me again, "Are you still doing push-ups?" And I said, "Yeah, I do 10 a day." And I have to say, like, there are days that I don't do it, but it's few and far between. Like, once, maybe twice a week, I won't do them because I feel like I need to rest those muscles. But for the most part, I do 10 a day. And I told her that. She said that she's doing five. And I was like celebrating her. And she said the way that she started to be able to do them is when she's working and she works long hours. She said she'll sit in her salon chair and she'll like hover over her chair using her arms. She'll hold herself up for 30 seconds. And she does that like 3 or 4 times during the day. And she said because she started doing that, she's been able to start doing push-ups. And I was like, that is amazing. That is really amazing. And so she needed to have the willingness to do it, to be open to a new idea, be open to um, improving her life. Um, Rather than her focusing on, oh, I work long hours, I don't have time to exercise or anything like that. She opened her mind to ways she can exercise sitting in her freaking chair. I could not celebrate her enough. Like, she was very humbled by what she had been doing. Like, she thinks that I'm, you know, oh, I can't believe you do that every day. And but I was thinking, well, I have time. I mean, everybody has time before they go to bed, but I I have a lot of time on my hands, and that's my excuse, right? My excuse for, well, you don't have an excuse not to exercise because you are not busy. That's what my self-defeating mind says to me. And she looked at her situation like, I have time. I'm sitting here in this chair. So she thought to herself, I don't have an excuse to not do these exercises. And that is so inspirational to me. Um, so, how do I spend my time? How do you spend your time? Making excuses for why you can't do something, or making decisions to do something? Um, I didn't, oh, that's why. Ah, I remembered. So, one thing she told me after we were talking about exercise, sorry, Boris keeps moving the camera, because he's stretching. He's sleeping, but he keeps stretching and moving the camera. She was telling me, we were talking about headaches, and I was telling her about, because she's always asking me, no, this time she said, you don't work, right? Because she used to constantly ask me, what is your job? And I said, I don't work, but I didn't want to get into why. So this time she said, oh, you don't work, right? That's a blessing. Like, you're so lucky. And so I said, I don't know why. Do I want her to not think that I'm lucky? I don't know. Maybe it's just because I feel like her and I are becoming friends. And I said what my disability is. I told her I had a stroke, and that I have headaches every day. And so she happens to also have headaches. She has like severe migraines. And she said, like, what do you do for them? And I said, well, I have a shot that I take once a month, and that helps take away the sharp pain. But there isn't really any medication that gets rid of that constant dull ache in my head. And she asked me if I meditate. And I said, I do meditate for 10 minutes, twice a day. And she said, no, you need to do 30 minutes. And I was like, oh. And she said uh, that she was doing it for 10 minutes and it didn't do anything. But she had heard, I don't know, heard where, but she had heard that meditation for 20 minutes a day can help with migraines. So she started doing that. She started doing 20 minutes, and she said her migraines started to get better. Like, if she was having a migraine, she would sit and meditate for 20 minutes. And she said it actually started getting better. And she said that she decided to stay longer in the meditation to see, maybe it'll make it even better. Maybe it'll make it go away. And sure enough, she said 30 minutes of meditation when she's having a migraine makes her migraine go away. And I thought, that's brilliant. That's really brilliant. So I'm going to try it today. I'm going to try 30 minutes of meditation, and see where my head is at. If it gives me temporary relief from that dull ache, great. Because the shot is what addresses my sharp pain, which is what I call the migraine. Apparently, a migraine is if you have a headache more than a certain number of times in a month or something, then it's called a migraine. So the dull ache in my head that I have all the time, they call that a migraine. I call a migraine the sharp pain because I have to distinguish between the two because the sharp pain is debilitating. I cannot use my eyes, period, if I have the sharp pain. But the dull ache is where I sit at normally, and I just limit my eye movement in order to keep it there at the dull ache. Of course, if I close my eyes for 30 minutes, I'm betting that it will subside it. I mean, I'll feel better because when I sit in a room and I'm starting to have my symptoms act up, I close my eyes, but I don't close my eyes for 30 minutes. Like yesterday, I recorded my podcast mostly with my eyes closed, and it helped. Like I have my eyes open today, and I definitely have that ache there. I have that dizziness there. Um, so I think that 30-minute meditation will most likely at least subside it while I'm doing it, and I'll take it. So having the willingness to do these things, to choose a tool out of my toolbox at any given time and lean into the program. That is what keeps me balanced between my ears. That's what helps me deal with the crazy, live with the crazy, subside the crazy, like tell the crazy to quiet down. I don't feel so crazy anymore. Like when I start feeling more pain and discomfort from my disability, I start feeling the crazy coming back up again. And I tend to try to quiet down and listen more because I feel like if I do that, I'm going to get a message from somebody else that's going to help me with my crazy just for that day. So, listening, grabbing tools out of my toolbox, and communicating with my understanding of my higher power. Um, Professional help is something that I was reminded of this morning also. Like we get all these tools in our program from the steps, admitting that my life was unmanageable. Like that was a tool. That is a tool. When I do that thing where I shut down my crazy, when I realize it's happening and I try to just shut off my thinker, um, I see, I can't remember what I was going to say. That's terrible. That's when I start feeling bad, like I said, it like just my crazy starts coming off. It gets more difficult for me to even communicate, much less try to manage what's going on between my ears. So I should probably finish up here, but I wanted to just talk about like getting sober did not make the crazy go away. Um, Life is still happening to me, and I've been talking about it for the past 3 days, how life is hard. Life is hard on days that I don't feel good, but I still have the tools in my toolbox. I just have to remember them, you know? And I'm more capable of remembering them because I've been practicing for several years to reach into the toolbox and do it. And when all else fails, like I just close my eyes, I get quiet And that's what I need to do right now. I need to close my eyes and get quiet. So thanks for listening today, and I will talk to you tomorrow.